Everybody, how's it going? Chad here. Welcome back to the Dorky N40 channel. And today we're going to be talking about my first couple flights on the release candidate of Betaflight 4.0. Now, I've been flying the various development builds for months now, and we're getting pretty close to a official release date. Still waiting on the new configurator to come out and all that stuff. But I flashed the release candidate onto my Super G, and I've been having a really great time with it. So I want to show you guys here on the Betaflight exactly what I have changed and what might have changed in the release candidate versus the development builds. Mostly the PIDs, they really changed. I was kind of shocked. Somebody said don't put a lot of stock in them because they might change before the release candidate, but they've been pretty consistent over the past month and a half. So I wasn't expecting such a huge change, but it's been a great result. It seems like they've just turned everything on now, and even without this running the RPM notch filter, which looks even better, it's going to be hard to believe that it can get much better in this. So let's take a look at the PIDs and talk about that stuff real quick, and then we'll take a look at some flight footage. So if we go into Betaflight here, just wanted to remind you this is a 6S build running the Eco 1700 KVs. So my PIDs and everything, of course, will be different than yours. We are running D-Shot 1200 and all of that good stuff. Running a motor idle of 6.5%, which actually I want to change that to 7.5 because I have found that running a higher motor idle has kind of helped me with these lower KV 6S builds. It's kind of like having a turbo ready to go, so that way you don't get as much of a spool up whenever you're coming out of different maneuvers and stuff like that. So if we take a look, let's just look at what stock PIDs look like now. So here are all of the stock PIDs. Of course, I've got my own rates in here and everything. And the biggest change that you can see right off the bat, if you haven't looked at a development build, is you're going to see way lower P gains and way higher I gains, and D's about the same. And then you're going to see the feed forward has been really tweaked. The past few builds, I think this has been 60, 60, and 100. I believe that was the way it was configured in Betaflight 3.5 as well, and not so much anymore. So they've really made some tweaks to the PID controller to kind of match everything a little bit, as well as the TPA and the breakpoint. I think they realize a lot more people are flying a little bit higher powered setups, and just kind of lowering these numbers a little bit and the thresholds is going to help create a smoother flight experience for everybody. Right now, my PIDs, you can see, are a little increased. I haven't done anything with gains, haven't touched feed forward at all. Anti-gravity, I was getting a little bit more nose bob, so I have that raised up to 8. And I'll kind of show you the process that I went through when we were actually flying out there. The other thing that I've changed, which I've been looking for it online, but I can't really find any information, is this thing called degain, and I can't find it. Yeah, there it is. So if I do get dmin, all right. So in your OSD, I believe it's under miscellaneous. I can't remember exactly where it's at. It could be under rates too. But there's these settings that you're going to see in there called dmin pitch and dmin roll, and then dmin boost gain. I think boost gain is not in the OSD. It's something that you actually have to go into CLI. And one of my commenters made a suggestion that I should try increasing these thresholds. I think I just bumped them up by 2 or 3. So I think this was at like 24 and this was at like 26 or 27. I honestly can't remember. I'd have to look. But I just kind of bumped those up a little bit instead of increasing D or anything. And that's pretty much got rid of all of my prop wash and brought it to an acceptable range. Now, the actual, if we look at the build here, I am running the Azor 5140s on here, and I really like them. They're a really good smooth prop. The only thing I do not like about them is they have such a unique shape from the beginning to the end here that any little change or bump in this, you just can't bend them back and get what you get the same performance out of them that you had before. So I probably won't be using these anymore. Pretty much stuck on the Ethics S3. I do have some Johnny FPV props from Azor that I've been playing around with, which are right here. So if you look at the difference, but we'll talk about those too. But I've kind of had some so-so experiences on these too. Fly great, but just a little bump or nick in the prop really does kind of affect the performance of it. So anyway, back to Betaflight here. So that's pretty much my PIDs and everything, and it was all pretty much straightforward tuning. Really didn't have no problem. It was probably one of the easiest Betaflight rigs that I've tuned, period. And you know, this is tuned for kind of like you see what kind of flying I do in open spaces, open parks, not much. You know, it's not tuned for like precision gaps and everything. It's more for smooth, flowy performance and everything. And we'll go ahead and roll the footage, and I'll show you kind of what it looked like on default PIDs, and we'll talk about the changes, and we'll go with the last flight that I had on it. Alright, so here we go. This is the very first flight after flashing, and this is with all stock settings, haven't adjusted anti-gravity, no PIDs or nothing like that at all. And just kind of flying around here in the yard. It was one of the nice days we had this week, and I'd been flying my Flight 1 rig, and just kind of, it just flies different. It's a different purpose type of flyer. So I was kind of doing some of the same, just kind of quick maneuvers around, seeing what, if I could kind of get it to fly like I was flying the Flight 1, but that's for another video. But anyway, you can see that, you know, my first impressions were I did have some nose bobs, things were a little loose, there's definitely some bounce right there going on and all that kind of stuff. So we're just kind of doing a little bit of small maneuvers here to see like how responsive the rates and the PIDs and everything were, because like I said, I flew like 3 or 4 Flight 1 packs, which that rig's just, it's a different kind of flying. So this is after some initial adjustments, just slowly raising the roll and the pitch and the anti-gravity, just to make sure that things are a little bit better. And you can see that it's definitely firmed up a little bit, and everything is kind of holding its own a lot better as far as its line goes. You know, everything sounds good. A little bit of you know, prop wash and stuff going on. And I believe this is the flight here that I first raised those D values I was talking about. And you can see kind of how, like, when I do like kind of like hard stops and just kind of like right there where you're doing a lot of a roll and a yaw together, that I didn't really get the prop wash and the kind of bounciness that I was getting before. There's still a little bit there, but you know, again, this craft isn't really made for that type of flying, but with a little bit of work and some rate changes and stuff, it definitely would be more than capable. Also apologize if I sound a little sick, because I have been sick all week, and pretty sick right now too with this flu. Just won't go away. So this is my current tuned right here, which is what you saw, and this is again running on the Azor props and everything, but you can just see that everything is very smooth, you know, and flowy, as long as you don't really get into the sticks super hard on it and all that kind of stuff. You can see that it does a really good job as far as like handling direction changes within reason and spooling up and powering. So it's pretty nice. I really like the way that it is flying right now, and got some more maneuvers and stuff coming here that you'll see, but just kind of testing out what you know, my normal mid-range flying would look like, to see if there's any kind of oscillations or anything like that going on, which honestly I did have some oscillations going on in my the last time I had this built with the last flash on it, so I'm not sure what was going on, but overall it does seem to feel and fly smoother, and I'm not sure if they tweaked the filtering even more but into the RC build or not, but I definitely could tell. I went through the same process of tuning that peak FFT, which is the low pass filter peak of your peak motor noise, and it was pretty much about the same, so nothing drastically different there. I did not change anything when it comes to the filters. I should have showed you they're both gyro low pass and D terms are both set at 150, which I believe is still what you need set for the automatic bi-quad filter. And hopefully they'll be releasing a tuning guide with 4.0 so we can kind of play around with that a little bit more. I don't think that I'll need to do anything more than the automatic. I'm pretty happy with this right here. I also have this rig and my other Source 1 rig that I have Betaflight 4 on that we can actually play around with. Has 32-bit ESCs, so we can play around with the RPM notch filter when that gets ironed out a little bit more. I'm pretty sure my target is available now, but I am not 100% sure. But you can see I had enough confidence to even dive through that scraggle mess right there and everything. So having a good time with this, and we'll keep you guys updated as weather permits and as everything else goes. But right now I'm very happy with the release candidate of Betaflight 4. So let me know if you have any questions or thoughts, and we will talk to you guys later.